So welcome to the Inwards and Upwards show, where we go inside and we go upwards, i.e. Ascension, which is what we're talking about tonight with Dawn Livingstone. She's an experienced Ascension Coach, author, energy healer, and the proud owner of Voyage of Transcendence LLC. With 25 years of energy work experience, Dawn's passion lies in transforming individuals' life's perspectives and fostering expansion and growth. Wow, this sounds amazing. She also hosts the Transcend and Succeed podcast and TV show, inspiring and uplifting her audience with guests, sharing her life experience of transcending their limitations and turning their lives around. So this is really what I'm all about, especially with my Qigong practice. We call it Chunji Yin, i.e. the higher energies, the lower energies, and the middle energies all bringing together into the middle of the heart. And I really love this kind of conversation because I've researched quite deeply into this myself. So I'd like to welcome Dawn. Welcome to the show, Dawn. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking me.
That's my pleasure. So it's got to be the first question, really, because I'm always fascinated to know what got you down this line of, or this path, this journey for your life.
Really, the turning point for me was the sudden awareness that my life was not under my own control, and actually realizing that I had the ability to take it back at a moment's notice. My story quickly is around a bit of trauma, a bit of abuse. From most of my life, I think I was about 10 or 11 at school. I was getting pushed around and bullied. And by the time I got into high school, they were chasing after me after school and slapping me around. You know, it was just a horrible experience, to the stage where I really didn't do my fourth year. I was hardly ever there, just through fear of, them catching me, really. And then, just some boyfriends as well, and it really wasn't going too well. And my previous marriage, this was when the awakening happened for me, the realization. I had I used to take my two youngest children to karate classes on a Tuesday and Thursday night. And one Thursday, we'd been going for a good 6, 9 months. And one night I got thrown very badly and landed on my right hip. I landed really heavily. And at the time there was no issues, but a couple of days later there sure was. And it turned out that I had broken the bottom disc in my back. And that set me on the couch for about 4 months because I could hardly stand. I definitely couldn't sit, and I was in absolutely excruciating pain. Now, leading up to that time, I had realized that something was not right in my marriage. There was something not right in my life. And I just couldn't pinpoint it at all. Not at all. Didn't have any clue. And over that period of 4 months, sometimes you have, chance for reflection. Not me. I was, victim mode. I was full on victim mode. I go, this is really annoying. I can't walk. I can't pick up my kids. I can't do anything. So after the 4 months, obviously my sick pay ran out, and I had to get back to work. A counsellor called me saying, you have to come and see me because you've been off for what we consider to be long term. You have to come and see me just to make sure everything's okay with you. We might need to make some accommodations for you in work, which was fine. So off I toddled to this counsellor's appointment. Very lovely lady. And until she asked me one question: how are things at home? And for me, that was, I don't know, everything just erupted within me. And it was just my time in life to get everything off my chest. It just all of a sudden came to me. So I was verbally dumping on this poor woman. I mean, she was such a sweetheart, but she sat there and listened to me for a good 20 minutes at least. I was all snot and tears, telling her about, the things he said to me. This is my ex-husband. The things he said to me, how he made me feel, the stuff that he would do that would upset me. And after that 20 minutes, she said to me, so how long have you been getting abused? And I said, oh no, you've totally got the wrong end of the stick. He's never ever lifted a finger to me, and I really don't think he ever would. And she says, no, no, she said, you've got the wrong perception of abuse. She says, from what you've been telling me, you have been mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and verbally abused for all these years. And that was when, that light bulb moment, the epiphany, your world just stops. And you think, wait a minute. It was that realization that I was only being abused by my ex-husband because I was allowing it. Yeah. I was allowing him to treat me that way. I did not have the self-respect or the awareness to actually stand up to him and say, you are not speaking to me like that anymore. I'm not having it. Things need to change. And that was when really my full understanding of emotions being held in the body, blocked emotions in the body, because, oh my God, they came to the surface, every single one of them. The hatred, the anger, the total resentment was really a horrible thing to experience that intensely. I was angry at him for the way he treated me. And I was also angry at myself because now I realized I was allowing it. So really, that was what got me started on my journey, because it was then that other realizations came up. The fact that I'd been living in fear for my entire life because I was scared of rejection, I was scared of conflict, I was scared of people not liking me, I suppose. And these are the sort of things. Whereas now, I really don't give a stuff what anybody thinks about me. If they don't like me, they can keep scrolling or they can keep moving. I'm not going to be for everybody, just like you're not going to be for everybody. But there's so many people out there for others. Why do we make it, so difficult on ourselves to actually progress? So really I've spent the last, oh goodness, the last 15 years, on this path of my self-discovery about what's been working for me. And that's been working on a vibration level. I've been doing lots of research, lots of Joe Dispenza in there, Bruce Lipton, and some other, energy healing work. And I found that energetically removing the vibrations, the low density vibrations, of the fear, the lack, the suffering, the pain, anything that keeps you really feeling low, energetically removing them from the mind and the body does absolute wonders. Absolute wonders. So between that and doing some energy healing classes and learning a bit more about, above the physical realm, because that's not for everyone, right? But I don't suppose it was for me until I discovered energy healing. And it was just actually before my husband and I decided, or I decided we were divorcing, let's put it that way. That was when I really found energy healing. My mother and my sister and I used to go to college on a Tuesday night, evening classes, and it was our time to get together and our time to spend. And we would go and do, the manicure classes and pedicure classes and waxing, this type of thing. And it was really quite therapeutic. We enjoyed it. And at the end of the year, we thought we've not got anything else to do next semester. Now what are we going to do? And I had mentioned to my boss at work the next again day, telling her that I'm on the lookout for something. So if you hear anything, let me know. And a colleague of mine behind shouted, she says, my neighbour's doing a Reiki 1 class this weekend if you're interested. Honestly, Peter, I had no idea what Reiki was, didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
But I just was drawn to it. And I just, went gung ho for this, called the woman on the Thursday night and ended up on her doorstep at about 8:30 on the Saturday morning. I'm here for the Reiki class. And that weekend absolutely changed my life. It made me see things as they really are, not how we're wanted to see them or people want us to see things. It was almost like somebody had lifted this veil and I
Mm.
could see people who, for who they really are. And that really upset me for, I would say, a good couple of years, because I had seemed to have developed the ability overnight to look at somebody and know exactly what was going on. I would have these really heavy feelings in my body. And I thought, oh, that's that, and I didn't like the energy. And then I was finding myself, backing away from, concerts, places where there's so many people, because I was just getting absolutely flattened with everybody's energies. They were just taking my energy from me, and I was, quite happily receiving all the negative energy from them. And that's when I understood energy transference, because it directly affected me. And I don't think there's enough awareness out there about energy transference, about abuse, about empowerment, and how you can actually take your life back. I don't think there's enough empowerment there. We're not taught that we need to be in control of ourselves. We're told if something's not right, you go and see a doctor. That's all I remember when I was growing up. And I just like to tell people now that it doesn't have to be like that. They really don't need the pharmaceuticals, because what the energy healing does is actually get to the root cause of the physical symptoms, because everything manifests itself physically. I relate it to a set of Russian dolls. Do you know the ones I mean, with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thick, heavy one in the middle, the solid one, right? That's kind of a depiction of the physical body, right? Because that's the most dense. And the other ones that you're slotting in, they're like, your mental body, your emotional body, and your other spiritual bodies. So every imbalance within any of these bodies manifests itself physically. So any trouble that you're having in the physical body, it's probably not the physical body that has the problem. It's probably elsewhere. It's more subtle. Sometimes, yes, it can come from the environment. Absolutely. If you're eating the wrong foods, or you're too much processed foods, too much sugar, you're eating foods with lots of chemicals on them, or heavy metals, even viruses as well, that can have an impact on the physical body. But the vast majority of my clients, it's all mental and emotional that's in there. They don't realize that they're storing up these emotions in the body, and it acts like a volcano. You've got your lava bloop, bloop, blooping underneath, and you've got all these emotions that are just building up and building up. And there's so much pressure after a while that what does that do? It just causes an eruption. And that's what happens with you if you don't treat these blocked emotions and get rid of them on a very regular basis. You could end up having this big, fit of rage or anger. You could even have a breakdown if these things aren't treated. But because you can't see your emotions, it's not a physical thing, a tangible thing that you can touch, then it's really not addressed. And
Mm.
that's what I'm aiming to do.
It's a wonderful
So
thing.
that's my journey in a nutshell.
No, that's wonderful, because I like to call it the highly sensitive machine gun, because people store this up, store this up, store this up. Then someone comes along, does the smallest of things, and all of a sudden it all comes flying out.
It just triggers, you're triggered so easy. Yeah, that's
And
very true.
I see that a lot also with my Qigong classes, when people come in with preconceptions about how the world is, and how, especially in the elderly, how things are. And then when I start to talk about the metaphysical, and like we talked about going into the quantum level with, like Joe Dispenza does, and Bruce Lipton, of your cells actually in 99.9999% space, and they're like little tornadoes spinning. So nothing can actually penetrate them, like a car can't penetrate a tornado.
Yeah.
And it's about emptying that out, and it's explaining to them that it is emptying them out. And the ones who listen and get it, you see them improve very quickly. I see like blood pressure come down, back problems go, all sorts of things happening. So it's really, really important to get that deeper level of us. It's like a blueprint. We're like consciousness trying to express itself, and this blueprint is so phenomenal. And you're so right that we've been so conditioned into being the way that we are, because we're so much easily controlled in that way, because thinking, all this fear, false evidence appearing real, it's all terrible stuff. And it really is not good for any of us. I feel there's a big change coming, and I think we're on the cusp of it at the moment, which is why I think work like you're doing is such an important thing. So for a typical sort of client, if you're working with a client, what would be your typical sort of client issue would you say, if there is such a thing? Because I know it's quite a big area, but what would be, say, the key areas that you'd be working on?
To date, I find that I would say, if I'm guessing a percentage, probably between 70 and 80% of all my clients have been sexually abused as a child.
Yeah.
They are harboring, feelings of being unwanted, unloved, unworthy, undeserving, this type of thing.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and that can go on, if it's not dealt with, to create, some kind of addiction, that method of escape. And that's what happened with me in my previous marriage. And I didn't realize this at the time. I could sink a bottle of wine every single night and not even think about it. It would just take me away from this place that, I was living in all this anxiety. I didn't even realize I was creating an addiction. I mean, I wasn't so far gone that I couldn't live without it. No, absolutely not. But it definitely took me away to a place where I felt a bit safer and a bit calmer, which is obviously not a good thing to continue with. And I don't drink alcohol at all now. I just don't have a need for it. I don't even like the taste of it. My husband likes the odd beer and a few glasses of wine, and I just keep telling and glowering it. And do you know how many toxins are in that?
I know
But that's what happens.
it's an issue, isn't it? Because when you do slowly come off, when you've been living with drink all your life and you start to move away from it, it's I find people find it difficult to find what to do next, because that's been, we go out for a drink to get drunk, and we come home and we go to bed. And that's what we kind of been conditioned to that. I think in the UK, I think in America as well, that's quite a major problem as well. Is alcohol is like what would you call it? It's like a tranquilizer. It kind of brings the body down. It doesn't function properly.
Dulls you down, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't function properly with your sensitivities. But
Yeah, it numbs you up, I suppose.
yeah,
And then over time, that bottle of wine is just not really hitting the mark. So you've got to have a little bit more, and then you've got to have more, and then you've got to have more. And then the more you have, the more issues you have trying to get off it. So
yeah,
it's better to treat it, earlier, sooner rather than later. And the body has an innate ability to heal itself if you give it the right conditions. So
yeah,
you either need to look at the mind, or you have to look at the physical environment. So that's the two main areas I focus on. So yeah, the majority of them have been sexually abused as a child. I find in every single person, there's always anger and resentment in there. And because my healing works in three parts. So there's education to start with, then there's investigation, and then there's vibration. And the vibration is the healing part. But the education is all about explaining this, metaphysical thing that they really don't understand. I don't think I've come across one person that has been astounded with what I've been telling them. And then, go and researching it for themselves and coming back and saying, oh, good grief, I didn't even know that was out there.
mm,
Um, so yeah, explaining about, the world of frequency, the law of vibration, and that every single thing has a specific resonance. So your thoughts, your words, your actions, money, air, it all has a specific resonance. And if we are resonating, so say for example, I'm a person that's really angry. So if I have this vibration of anger in my body's emanating that frequency out 24/7. It's going out there to the universe, and the universe answers your call every single time. If you're putting out anger, anger is what you're going to get back, and you're going to keep getting it and keep getting it until you change the vibration. And that's the only thing that can only be done from the inside. It can't be done from outside of you in any kind of physical environment. It needs to be done subtly. It needs to be done in your energy field to remove that vibration, not just from your cells, but from your mind as well. And people don't understand either about the subconscious mind versus the conscious mind, and how much, what percentage of that is broken up. The conscious mind, we only use our conscious mind up to 5% a day. The rest of our life is lived through habits and patterns, which are housed in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind drives our life over 95% of the day.
Mm.
And where does the subconscious mind get these habits and patterns from? From your past. So unless we become more consciously aware to consciously create rather than allow our mind to subconsciously create, we're going to keep creating more of our past because that's all the subconscious mind knows. It knows patterns. Take like riding a bike. When you're 3 or 4 years old, you get on a bike and it takes you a little while to master it. But once you get it, you're off. And that's it stored in the subconscious mind. It's really easy. Repetition can go in, especially when from birth up to about 7 or 8 years old, subconscious mind wide open like a sponge. It's going to take absolutely everything in. So it's really careful that in front of children of that age, be very careful what you say, be very careful what you do, because they're going to take in all your words and your actions and anything that they see. They're going to take that in as their truth right into the subconscious mind. And that's the patterns, that's the conditioning that they're going to carry up through their lives. And also that people or they either don't understand or they don't believe in ancestral lines, or I know we call them past lives, but I would say they're concurrent lives because everything's going on in the present, right? So everything's as of now. And people don't understand that time is really a human construct. There is no such thing as time, really. There's only now. So what we've got to do is create from the present and not from the past without worrying for the future. Because where you place your attention, where you put your focus, that's where your energy goes. So if you are sitting here today thinking, oh my goodness, what if that goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Change it round, saying, what if this goes right? That's going to be
Mm.
really exciting. If this goes right, this is going to happen, and you need to get excited about it rather than putting your negative energy, casting it forward in your mind. Because we need to create it in the now and break away from that past. So really what I'm helping people do is disconnect from their past, from their patterns, from their vibrations of the past, so that they can start off in the now, in the present moment, and actually create a better future, a future that they want to create based on the new person that they are, the new vibrations that they're going to have, and start now and do it properly.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
then
That's what we talk about in the Bright Beans Academy is tapping the lower danjon, which is where your passion comes from. So if that's not working properly and it's coming up through the solar plexus and that's all messed up, where you're reaching out for recognition, security, control, it all goes wrong. Comes into the heart chakra, you become like a concertina, your heart's going in and out, and you're too sensitive to energy and it all goes wrong. So resonate with everything that you're saying, Dawn. It's so true about the vibration. And that is a low waveform. As you move up the chakra system, it gets higher and higher. So yeah, I totally concur with what you're saying. Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's
And then
where we're at with the lower danjon and the heart. So you're getting rid of fear out of people. You're taking fear from people. So what is the ascension process that you take people through? What does that involve when you're getting up to the higher chakras?
I really have to help them to prepare their physical body for the kind of rise in frequency. Because if I'm helping them to disconnect from low frequencies and giving them higher frequencies, their physical body is not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So usually the first session that I have with clients is to do with preparing the physical bodies. It also removes, very generalized vibrations like the anger and the resentment and the frustration, this type of thing, because people see a big shift from those just in themselves, because we don't realize how prevalent it is. It's highly, highly prevalent, particularly in the collective subconscious and the collective conscious as well. So yeah, these are the preparatory I suppose, because you've got to have a solid foundation. You can't build high on a foundation that's weak. So that's really where I start. That's where I start with my clients.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, that's what we say is about in the Qigong practice I take. Most people are like this. They're like an upside down pyramid. All the energy's up in the head because of all the bombardment of the conditioning. This is how it is. You're too sensitive. Shut up. Don't speak anymore. Do what you're told. All this kind of stuff. No, 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 all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Since the age of 7. So we become an upside down triangle. And then if we're empathic or highly sensitive in nature, we become like a diamond. So we've still got wobbly feet, and but our connection to source or the higher nature is still there. But we're still wobbly because our heart's too pushing out in the wrong way. We're looking for recognition and control and security. So yeah, getting that solid base, I feel, is quintessential, is the most important thing for your spiritual journey, because a lot of people just want to dive in and say, oh, how do I stimulate the pineal gland, which is, we do that in the Qigong classes, what Joe Dispenza does. He took that from Qigong, about squeezing everything up, squeezing the fluid up into the pineal gland with that piezoelectric chemistry that happens, sends the electric out. When the electric current comes back in, it's all foggy, unless you've done the work in the body, because the body is literally the antenna. I know, because I've done it, for this inner feeling for yourself. So what techniques do you use then to get people, when they've gone past this like lower level and they've got a stronger base? How do you get your clients to get a little bit higher into the ascension process?
Well, that's when we go a little bit deeper. I can ask more questions, or I usually find a lot of it out myself. It's usually passed down from the ancestors, because you take on all their vibrations as well. It's lovely. And think about it, by the time we have nine generations, we have taken on the vibrations of over 2,000 people. So you can imagine what effect that is having on
busy
society.
inside. Busy.
I know. It's like, well, honestly, there really is. It gets brought down in your DNA and all the cells. Yeah, you've got it all. We just need to get it cleared. So yeah, sometimes particularly if there's a physical issue, in fact, it's maybe not even come to a physical issue, but it could be pretty close. The organs sometimes will jump out at me and scream and shout and tell me what they want removed. Like the liver. I mean, it's not everybody that holds anger in their liver, but the majority of them do. And that's really, that's the intuitive part of what it is that I do. But a good bit digging, particularly into childhood, and find out any traumatic events, because fear, trauma, and addiction really are the three things they're the three cycles that I aim to break with people, because that's my own experience. So yeah, it's a bit of a digging process. Not everybody's the same, everybody's unique, but I've got some courses out there that have done that will help in general with general things, but anything that's very, very specific to you obviously needs to be done one-on-one. But I get really good feedback from those as well, just saying, they feel so much lighter, they feel so much better, they're happier in their daily life, which is just wonderful to get. I just love it.
Oh yeah, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it when you see, oh, look at you now. I think it's one of the most amazing things you can do, is to help people actually turn around and look at life in a more profound way. I think it's so important, and we all need to be doing it, because coaching, I think in America is quite big, isn't it? This mentoring, but it's not so big in the UK at the moment. But I feel that that's going to start to change very soon, as people realize they're going through a process and that they are authentic and they're real and they're doing the real work, rather than give me £5,000 and I'll change your life tomorrow type people. I think that's important. What do you think about authenticity with people in this field? How do you perceive, is it all authentic, or is there many pitfalls for people to find when they're going through this process, especially when they're looking out on their own? and not taking up coaching?
I think the drive is more for, finding somebody that they say is suitably qualified. And when they mean suitably qualified, they mean they have a degree or a PhD or something that they have learned from textbooks. And I find that people that have lived an experience and have found a way out, I think there's a lot more authenticity there.
Mm,
And I think more people are coming round to the fact that experience outweighs a piece of paper, because you could have gone through 5, 6 years of college or university to get yourself a degree, but the people that you're coming, you have got no experience of that condition that they have. So you're having to rely solely, at least with somebody that has already been through it. They can, they can empathize with that person, know exactly what they're going through, and have a better and a deeper insight into the problem.
mm.
But I think you really need to be, authentic. Yes, you need to be honest with your experience and what you can do to actually help people.
Yeah, I think that's one of the what is the most important thing, because I think some people take on people for coaching who cannot help them, and it just gives the whole thing a bad name. So I think authenticity is such an important thing, and to be able to share your experience honestly without prejudice, I think, is also such an important thing. If, like, for me, for instance, when I've had 2 out-of-body experiences. The first one, I was looked upon as a complete freak when I came back. It was when I was playing with Thin Lizzy, and it was, whoa, it was, I was literally asked to leave a band because I was so, wow, this is not what it is. It was an incredible experience for me. And I suppose since that moment, I've been trying to find ways of getting back to that experience, which is what William Henry calls the, Jan will laugh here, the rainbow body of light, where we're looking to connect more with our light bodies. And if you look at a lot of those ancient pictures, even of Jesus or the Buddha or even Muhammad, well, there's no pictures of Muhammad, but they explain the rainbow body of light around him. And they're all talking about connecting to that higher frequency. And I've always been thinking about it. I think about it, how do you do that? How do you do that? And there's so many pitfalls with the conditioning that we've got. And you're so right about experience versus experience and authenticity versus what we have at the moment. And I won't go into it too deep because this is going onto YouTube and it'll get taken off. But we've just had a whole medical thing based on modeling. It was all done on modeling. All the lockdowns and all the other things were done on modeling. And it was an experimental medical procedure that we were put through. MNRA, the guy who actually invented it, has been saying that as well. And we're doing the same now with this climate crisis. Apparently, we're doing it all on modeling, and we're going towards, we're ignoring authentic scientists who've been through and looked at all the data and coming up with reasonable and rationable ideas compared to this. This is the piece of paper. This is how it should be. And I totally agree with you. I think we should be looking at people who are authentic, start creating communities where authentic people start to come together and start to talk about how they feel, because this is being looked upon as taboo for so long, this whole subject of connecting with your energy body. And to me now, I've been doing it, I don't even know how many years, but since my out-of-body experience, has been at least 20 odd years since then. So I've been on this path since then, and now this feels natural to me. And any conversation I've got about, I stand under the red flag, you stand under the blue flag, let's have an argument about how it's going to work, just seems completely ridiculous to me now. It's just, it's like, I can't even think about having a discussion like they go, well, here's another clown or puppet coming in and taking over the authority position and saying, okay, we're going to do it this way, but we're going to keep the same system. So it's never going to work, is it? It's never going to work. So I think empowering yourself to be yourself is the best thing you can do in this meme that we're born into, because it says that everything that you've been saying, really funny. The Vedic teachings has been resonating in my mind. As you say about having intuition when you're coaching, I'm having intuition while you're speaking. And all of this has been written down thousands and thousands of years ago in the Vedic scripts. All of this that you've been saying, everything about talking about vibration, talking about old emotions, making emotions actually move through your body. It's all there. So bless you for doing the work
Yeah.
you do. I think it's amazing. So well done.
I love it, and I don't care now what anybody thinks. I mean, I had to part company with my brother, unfortunately, nearly 3 years ago now, because he would do silly things like, post a person of wearing a tinfoil hat on my Facebook
Oh,
page,
goodness me.
just can't be bothered with that. And I thought, why am I allowing this and again, it went back to my previous marriage when I realized that the way I was being treated, divorced, and everything would seem to be fine. And then I saw it creeping back in again with my brother. And not that I wanted to have nothing to do with him, but sometimes you've got to step away from the people that are holding you back. And I feel so much easier now. And this last couple of years, that fear of me speaking out, standing up and telling my truth and standing up for myself has increased about 1,000,000-fold. I mean, look at me, I've got my own TV show. I mean, I didn't even like speak. I wanted to remain hidden for my entire life. And I decided at the start of the year that I made a pact with myself. I'm going to get myself out there. I've got so much to help people with. I've got so much to tell them. I don't want to keep this to myself anymore. And then I took a TV show and I threw myself right in the deep end. But
Yes.
something, as much as it was so uncomfortable for a few weeks, I had to do it. I just had to do it because there was time constraints and I couldn't keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But I'm having such an amazing time. And that's another thing. Get yourself out your comfort zone. Yeah, take that step forward. For you to be able to achieve anything, you've got to get out of complacency, because that's where most of us are at the minute. We're all stuck in the same pattern, and we just need to, take that uncomfortable step and do it. I'm a testament to that because I am loving what I'm doing and all the people I'm meeting. And there's so many collaborations coming up as well. I would never have thought this would happen. But if I could just go back quickly to what you were talking about, out
Yeah,
of
go
body
on. Yeah,
experiences.
got a few
Yeah,
minutes
out
left
of
there.
body experiences. Okay. Look up a chap called William Buhlman, Buhlman, William Buhlman of the Monroe Institute here in the US. He has written 2 books about out of body experiences, and I've read both of them. I now understand that my dreams were not dreams, they were out of body experiences. So I learned a lot from what he was saying. I asked questions. And if anybody wants to hear a little bit more about it, on my podcast on YouTube, I've got, I think it's episode 5, I talk about my experience there with my friend. And it really was, it opened my mind and blew my mind of the images that I was given when I was asking questions about the structure of the universe. Reading his books just tied everything together for me. So he's a very, very good resource. He has been doing this for 25 years, I think. And he can instigate these out-of-body experiences whenever he wants. And I am learning to do the same over this last few months. I've only managed to do it once or twice, I think. But it's amazing once you learn from his experience about asking the right questions, how quickly that moves you. And then you'll be able to understand exactly what the universe is on I wouldn't say a bigger scale, but you get it in increments, because we would be so overwhelmed with it.
Oh,
But he's
it's
an
enormous.
excellent
Yeah.
resource about out-of-body experiences, William Buhlman.
Yeah, look him up. I remember having, I thought it was a dream. I don't think it was a dream. I was taken by a guide. We were kind of looking at the earth from above, and the guide was saying to me, this is what happens when you wake another soul up. And there was little lights going off in little places all over the world. And I had no idea what that was all about. I sat with that for many, many years thinking, what was that all about? Now, moving into this field, I'm going, you're such a dummy. Why couldn't you see it? But that was it. And also I had another, this wasn't an out-of-body experience. It was a previous life where I was some really big material world sort of oligarch and I'd got all this material wealth. I was living in this absolute palace, and my view was like when you see beautiful Greek seascapes with all the mountains going into the sea. And I scooped my hand through this infinity pool, flicked the water up into the air, watched the water fall down as I was looking out to the mountains. And I was saying to myself inside, in a dark way, was that really worth it? And that to me was like, yeah, why was your obsession with money at that point? And it's really, these two memories have really shaped my life in that respect. And it's getting it was for a long while getting my relationship with money right. And that takes time as well, because when you look into this world and you see how it's all created and how the Rothschild family took over the banking dynasties of Europe, and then the Rockefellers took it over in America, you're going, oh my God, this is awful. So sometimes people in this field can think that money is evil, but it isn't. It's just an energy exchange, and we should be exchanging energy with each other all the time. And that comes with money, which is, I think, a perception that was put into this kind of work. And I personally feel it was it was conspired to do that. It's to say, oh, you shouldn't be charging any money. You shouldn't be charging any money. You shouldn't be charging any money. But we all need to have money, and this is work as much as any other work is. And I think this, to me personally, is the most important work. So we've got to wrap up now, because we're going to take questions from our beautiful people in the audience. So any last, how do we get hold of you, how do we watch your material, Dawn? How do we do that?
You can get a hold of me through my website, dawnlivingstone.com. There is a contact me button just halfway down the page. You can email me, Dawn Livingstone VOT, that's for Voyage of Transcendence, dawnlivingstonevot@gmail.com. I am also on YouTube, Transcend and Succeed, and that's where my live shows are. But there's also a podcast tab. You can take a look and you can find me there, and any comments, it would be fantastic. Did I miss anything? Social media, you got me on Instagram as well at Voyage of Transcendence.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now, and we're going to see if anybody has got any questions for you.